Okay, everyone, welcome back. I hope you had a great time in sessions following our last program, and I hope you're all very excited for the demo that we're about to see. Next up is Aluminum Anodization Demo, which is sponsored generously by Rio Grande. Today, you're going to hear Kee-Ho Yuen talk about his eclectic use of contemporary and traditional technologies and materials, ranging from advanced 3D computer modeling with Rhino and Grasshopper, aluminum, sorry, the Australian in me always wants to say aluminium, so I apologize, folks. Aluminum anodization and CNC machining to traditional fabrication techniques. Kee-Ho received a BA from the Chinese University of Hong Kong and an MFA in metalsmithing and jewelry from the University of Iowa, where he is currently professor and the head of the Jewelry and Metal Arts program. Work by Kee-Ho has been acquired by the permanent collections of the V&A in London, the Renwick Gallery of the Smithsonian, the Museum of Art and Design, the Racine Art Museum, my goodness, and a list far too long to continue, as well as his national and international group and solo exhibitions, which is a long list. Exhibitions in Taiwan, England, Germany, Museum of Art, everywhere, all around the world. It is my great pleasure now to play this demo for you, which will be followed by a live Q&A. Kee-Ho will join me here on stage. So if you have questions, no need to hold them to the end. You can pop them in the Q&A box in the chat, and I will surface them up to Kee-Ho when he joins us after this presentation. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, welcome to the presentation. I am Kee-Ho Yuen. I was born and educated in Hong Kong before I came to the University of Iowa for graduate school in 1986. After I graduated, I taught at the University of Northern Iowa for 10 years and have been teaching at the University of Iowa since 2000. I look at concept, aesthetic, and techniques as equal partners, complementing each other. However, the emphasis on my work may shift depending on how I feel at the time. I divide the presentation today into 5 sections. A note to myself is about my work that focuses more on human emotion and daily experiences. It is my diary. Playtime is about my work that focuses more on aesthetic and technical investigation. Commission is about the commissions that really took me out of my comfort zone. Figured it out is about the techniques and steps I use in my work. The last one is aluminum anodization demonstration. Okay, the first one, I use this body of work to remind myself what is important in life. I learn a lot of values from different literature, but understanding it is one thing, able to practice it is another. I need a reminder, a note, a diary to remind me. It's not my purpose to convince anyone with my work. I just finished this piece, but there were planks to catch and bills to pay. If you have heard the song Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin in 1974, you must know the lyrics. We are all busy with our daily chores. Yes, planks to catch and bill to pay. And quite often we ignore our family and good friends, pets too. This is why when I get home every day, doesn't matter if the world is ending, I have to cuddle with my cat for a few minutes first. Technically, I use the rhinoceros and grasshopper software to design the piece and generate the G code for the CNC machine to mill out the aluminum frame and the plexiglass. The image is a Hong Kong $1 bill from 1955. The black and white image of the dollar bill was transferred onto an anodized aluminum. I will use it as an example for the aluminum anodization demonstration later. The piece connecting the dot alone is based on some idea from existentialism. We all need meanings. We all search for answers for life, especially during difficult times like the pandemic now. But who can give you the authentic answer? No one. You are the only one and the final decision maker in connecting the dots in life. This is the back wheel. We live in a world that is extremely polarized. Everyone seems to dig in with their own opinion and doesn't want to consider what the other side has to say. Compromise has become a dirty word. The piece, a note to myself, I will stamp you, is my observation of the situation. We make very quick judgment on people, either good or bad. Gray area doesn't seem to exist at all. I'm from Hong Kong. The money is everything. My mom is 96. She still asks if I have money and try to send me things, including underwear. Yes, everyone needs money, and I love money. Yes, you can be an Energizer bunny and making all the money you could, but it will be like a balloon. Eventually, it will flow away and burst. Different parts I made before I put it all together. I think I still retain some caveman instinct. I love to play with fire. One time when I was little, I played matches under my parents' bed. My mom found out and gave me a well-deserved spanking. This piece is just a little compartmentalized memory of my childhood. Some I still can tap into, some I totally forgot. This is the back wheel, and it shows how things lock together. Now, the piece permanent identity card is a way for me to question my own identity. I have been living in the US for over 30 years, but quite often people still ask me, where do I come from? One time a lady asked me that questions again, and I just said, planet Earth. She was not amused. Identities are important to everyone. I want to identify as who I am, how I conduct myself, and not just a guy from Hong Kong or a citizen. Here you can see the black and white image of my Hong Kong ID card. This piece, the story never ends. The race between a turtle and rabbit is a well-known children's story that teaches us the virtue of endurance. However, it has been reinterpreted many times over for whatever reason. How people interpret a piece can take on its own life. That is something that we cannot avoid, and it is part of the beauty of art we need to accept. Here is the back wheel. Bending power is an occasional ring. I believe in the power of writing. The yellow strip is the writing of Lao Tzu, a famous Chinese philosopher, teaching us not to focus too much on materialistic world. The white structure under the pencil is a dollar bill. They are brass and coated with acrylic paint and laser print transfer. The pencil and the ring band were milled by the CNC mill. Writer has always challenged those who are in power. I think it is a very important mechanism to maintain the balance of power. I respect those who dare to speak their mind. I saw on YouTube a puppy was trying to cross a creek by walking over a tree branch. He was scared, even his owner was cheering him on. That inspired me to make this timeout piece. Quite often, I think I'm playing way too safe, taking too much time to make a decision. Look beyond the adjective. Whenever there are differences, people start to compare. You are too fat, too thin, too tall, too short, and discrimination began. I live in both Hong Kong and the US, and I have seen and experienced discrimination. Inside the glass bottles, in this brooch, I orchestrate two very common but contradictory old Chinese sayings. The first one is, the love of food and sex is just part of the nature of human beings. The second is, natural instincts such as the love of sex and food are empty and unfulfilling at the end. It amuses me that we can always find an old saying to support our particular points of view, regardless of how different they are. Once upon a time, time waits for no one. In this brooch, the calligraphy document an ancient Chinese ritual reminding people to observe, respect, and emulate nature. It stated that as part of nature, man should be humble in his existence, yet never abandon his quest for excellence. The brooch series, Measuring This and Measuring That, are based on my experience on a fishing trip in Wisconsin. My American classmate and I went into a bait shop to get some fishing supplies. A little boy in the shop was very curious about me and followed me around the whole time. I was thinking that this is rural Wisconsin areas. The little boy may have never seen a nation before, so I just ignored him. When we were ready to pay, the little boy came up to me and said, "You are so short." The man behind the counter probably was his father. He was pretty embarrassed and tried to tell the boy to go away. I was not mad because I know he doesn't mean any harm. I asked him how old he was. He said 4. And I asked him, "Do you know how old I am?" He said, "I don't know." I looked at him in the eye and said, "I'm 3 years old." He was puzzled for a while before he realized that I was just joking. The thing that amazed me was how can what is normal, what is not, already so settled in a 4-year-old mind. It is a sculptural piece. The saying on the fortune cookie is "big, tasty, get eaten first." What appears one is big and tasty, but that exactly caused it to be eaten first. Beware of what you wish for. The pear is electroformed and enameled. The paper bag is fabricated with the help of punches and hammer. Okay, the playtime. I will talk about a body of my work that is focusing more on material, aesthetic, and technology. I was struggling and feeling like I am running out of idea, a writer block prices. That make me think of an old saying, "You cannot squeeze blood from a rock." So I cut open a pretty good sized rock, sandwich a small silver container in between, and make it into a small teapot. My work to be whimsical. I think people connect with whimsical pieces better. When I make the teapot, I did not have a CNC machine at that time. I just used a grinder to shape out the pillow shape form in aluminum and turn out the lid manually. Some people think it is not functional, but it is. The water comes out through the gaps of the spout beautifully. I put a rock on the handle so it is easier to hold. A lot of people would love to touch and hold my teapots, but they know they better not. This is an attempt to tease them a little. It seems like I'm inviting them to press on the handle so the piece will fly across the room. Now, some old teapot actually have a stop. In this 2004 teapot, it is very obvious that trying to combine geometric shapes with representational images. Here is how the stop looked like. This is the first model for the tray series, laser cut, fold, and powder coated, about 18 inches in diameter, made of 0.1 inch thick aluminum. A lot of my friends ask me why it doesn't have color. I think when you put the fruits on, you get all the color you want. Another fruit tray made with 2 pieces of 0.1 inch thick aluminum and powder coated. The folding along the curve make the audience believe it is a paper model. It also showed that 2D and 3D are not that clear cuts after all. The powder coating is food safe. It is about 20 inches in diameter. Similar attempt, I did not cut dot lines this time, but milled down about 0.04 inch at the back along the fold lines to facilitate the folding. Same attempt, this one is formed from one single piece of aluminum, then powder coated, it locked together along the edges. In this tray, I combine river rock, glass, and silver together. Simple but effective design is what I aim at in this piece. When I have my friend over for dinner, I serve sushi or dumpling on it. The silver tubing insert into the rock provide the water for the bamboo. This table is my first attempt to combine TIG welding and aluminum anodization. The gap on the top is intentional. However, almost everyone came to my house, tried to move the top and close the gap. Of course, they cannot. The top was bolted onto the base. Okay, commission that really took me out of my comfort zone. This is an urn. My friend's son passed away. He wanted me to make him an urn. He told me that he liked baseball, cycling, and so on, but I would like to take a more philosophical approach. I think life is like a top. You know that when you spin it, it's going to travel and eventually come to a stop, but you can never predict the exact path and when it will stop. The dot line are the traveling path of the top. There is an outer container inside to hold the ash. The Museum of Art and Design in New York City commissioned me to make a goblet. I have never made a goblet before. I think it is a good challenge, so I did it. I think goblet is used to celebrate something, so I choose the text from Constitution. I put a rock inside to balance the weight. The paper-like handle is brass. The green side cylindrical structure is anodized aluminum. Turn out with a lathe. This is a fish server commissioned by Professor Rabinowitz in Seattle. It is made of silver, fabricated and etched. Professor Rabinowitz commissioned a dozen of UK and American metal artists to make a fish server. The collection has been donated to the Victoria and Albert Museum in London and is on permanent display there in the silver galleries. Figure it out. It's about the techniques and steps I use in my work. For this paperback, it is fabricated with 22 gauge brass. I use a jig, a chisel, a precision hammer, and a ball peen hammer to form the shape. For this tray, I use a chamfer and mill down about 0.04 inch at the back along the fold lines to facilitate the folding. This is the Grasshopper software I use in designing the tray. And you can see 2 points joined together will make a line. And if I change any information, anything that based on the information will change accordingly. So I can change the curve length, I can change the curve height, and I can change the distance between the curve. Really great to visualize different design. For the ring band and other milled aluminum parts on my work, I use a CNC mill or lathe. CNC stands for computerized numeric control. This is how the ring band look after milling. Now, first of all, I use vinyl to draw the 3D images of the band, both top and bottom, because I need to mill from both directions. This is the top section. This is the bottom section. Based on the drawing, the software can then generate the G code to run the CNC mill. Now, this is how a G code normally looks like. It is the language that gives information to the machine so you know what to do. Before the milling, I first drill and tap the opening part of the band so I can use the screw to attach other element to it. The mill first performs a roughing process, which removes the material as quickly as possible to make the rough form. Then it performed the finishing process, which produced more precise milling to give a good finish. The top half is done. Flip the piece over. Of course, registration must be correct, and mill the second half with the roughing and finishing process again. Milling is done, ready for filing, sanding, and anodization. For the urn, because the body panel is about 40 inches long, even with a big mill, I need to mill half at a time. Registration is important to make sure that the pattern on the two halves match up. I make a jig to form the corner of the urn using the scissor jack on my Toyota at the time. Clamp it up and ready for TIG welding. For this fruit bowl, drawing first. I use the 8-foot by 4-foot laser cutter in my school, make about 20 life-size paper models. Then I send it to the engineering department with a jet machine to cut it. That's how it looks after water jets cutting. Laser provides a final cut. Build a jig to form the tray a little at a time. I wrote down all the details of the process. If not, I will forget it the next day. Done. The guest said, painting is easy when you don't know how, but very difficult when you do. I think it is true for everything. The more you know you don't know. Thank you. Aluminum anodization, how I made an old Hong Kong $1 bill for my pieces. Since the aluminum anodization process involves acidic solution, alkaline solution, and electrical current, protect yourself by wearing safety devices such as goggles, rubber glove, and apron. If in contact, flush with water thoroughly and seek medical attention if necessary. This is the anodization unit at the University of Iowa. Cleaning area for edge cleaning your piece, a rectifier to provide 12 DC volts for anodization, the tank for actual anodization process, the dye areas for applying dye to the piece, the sealing solution to stabilize the dye. Here are some anodization samples showing different ways to apply dyes and mask. This is an overall layout of how the anodization process goes. The workpiece is placed at the anode. That is why we call it anodization. Anodization process produces an oxide layer on the surface, which is microscopically porous. The pore will receive the dye later and give color. Here is the anodization tank. To prepare your workpiece for anodization, I suggest the following step. Number one, preparation of your parts. 6,000 and 1,000 series aluminum anodized well. All sanding, fabrication, and finishing should be complete. Anticipate where and how you plan to attach the titanium wire as your electrical connection. Use only titanium wires or aluminum wire. Degrease and cleaning. Sanding, alcohol, detergent will do the job. Number three, rack your parts. Clean the titanium wire with sanding. Be certain to make a good connection. The parts should not rattle around on the wire. The bigger the piece, the more electricity goes through the wire. The diameter of the wire has to be big enough to carry the electricity to anodize successfully and safely. Insufficient wire size cannot handle the flow of the electricity and will cause the wire to heat up. Number four, rinse well. Now, instead of applying tension inside the hole, this method applies tension between the hole and one edge. You can use the maximum size of wire for your hole. Another example, to use tension to secure the connection. Smoother the surface, brighter the color. A different way to hold the piece. Number five, turn on the ventilation. Number six, caustic soda bath line for edge cleaning. Suspend the pot in the caustic soda for 2 to 5 minutes. Hydrogen is formed when aluminum is etched with alkaline solution. Lime most commonly referred to sodium hydroxide. Warning, hydrogen is flammable. Number seven, rinse after etching. Number eight, the nitric acid bath. Etching aluminum with alkaline solution may produce gray deposits on the surface. The nitric acid solution will remove it. Suspend the pot in the nitric bath for 2 to 3 minutes. Number nine, rinse again in the rinse bath, then tap water. Number 10, secure the workpiece on the anode with electrical tape. Do not turn on the rectifier before you finish securing the work pieces. You may get a little electrical shock, especially if your workpiece is big. Number 11, then turn on the rectifier and set it at 12 volt. For a small piece about 3.5 inch by 2.5 inch, it will draw about 0.8 amp. You see the bubbles? If you do, it means the connection is good and it's anodizing. You're good then. If not, take it out, rinse, and check the connection. It may be that the connections are loose or dirty. Number 12, after 40 minutes to an hour, the anodization should be completed. Remove it and rinse it in tap water. You are now ready to dye your piece. Now, I prefer to dye the piece right after and when it is still wet. But if you have to do it later, blow dry it with compressed air to avoid watermarks. Keep it clean and you can work on it later. Dipping into different color to generate a gradient of color, then rinse and dry. prints from a laser printer. The laser printer ink, we also call it toner, is heat sensitive passing material and can be transferred to the anodized aluminum with heat. It can be used as a resist for etching, masking for anodization, and other applications. Transferring the image and turn the hot plate about 250 to 300 Fahrenheit. After transferring the image, I put it in the alkaline bath to bridge away the background color. I then use lacquer thinner to remove the laser printer ink. Whatever is underneath the laser ink, the dye is protected from the alkaline solution. The image underneath remains intact. However, before you remove the ink, you can also put the piece in another color to create a new background color. I made another piece with different background colors and transferred on the same image again. This time I will use nitric acid and alkaline solution to bridge away some area to manipulate the contrast. I can also brush on other color. I use a small brush to apply line to bridge away the color of the queen's face. I did the same on the character of $1, Hong Kong, and some other area. I brush on some light red, purple color on the queen's face. I also did it to some other area. The bridging only destroys or removes the dye. It does not damage the porous oxide layer, so it still can accept new dyes. However, if you put it in the alkaline solution for too long, it will remove the oxide layer and you cannot dye it again. I can still work on subtracting and adding dyes, but here is how it looks now. Turn on the heating unit for the sealing solution around 200 Fahrenheit. You can also just use boiling water. Wax it and call it done. Have fun. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I like that bit at the end. Just have fun. Like we're all going to run out and be as amazing and put together throughout that demo process as Kee-Ho was. What a fantastic presentation. I'm really excited about some of the concepts and points that were raised, everything from, this diary note to self start of things was really great. This kind of perspective on existentialism, on identity, the whimsical nature of his work. And I particularly love the two contradicting Chinese sayings where you can basically find information to back up anything that that you want to prove to yourself. I think, one of the things that was super interesting to me as well was this concept of 2D and 3D not being so clear cut. And that he, through his work, is sort of participating in like playing with people's assumptions, both about like materiality as well as concept. And, thinking really that perception and visuality is important, not just, the form, not just what is being made or being presented, but there's always this kind of additional parallel that exists within work where you can sort of influence or extract perception from your audience. And that letter ink process at the end is just so fantastic. I am about to welcome Kee-Ho to the stage. Please, folks, if you have questions, do post them in the Q&A or in the chat, and I will surface them up. And he was here a second ago, and now he's missing.
I can go on the phone. I may be doing questions through my phone. He's going to try. to
Okay.
connect again.
Oh, I see. I've got him here. Let's see if we can do
Okay,
this.
let's see if we can bring him in.
Let's try. I'm gonna see.
Should we try his audio real quick or?
Yeah. Kee-Ho, unmute yourself and see if we can. Nope. Now he's gone again.
So we lost you again. That's okay. Do me a favor. Can you turn the volume down on the something? Because everyone can hear me talking to you. I'm live. I'm hearing everything in the background. All right. Well, maybe we'll just put. He got the delay. Okay, so let's go. Why don't you go back in the backstage instead of the main stage so we don't have the delay? And then we'll try to ask some questions and I'll try to put your voice audio up to the phone. We've got a question.
We've got a question.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to hold the phone up. Let's see.
This is
Alex,
a live virtual, folks. Hey, Kee-Ho, can you hear me?
Did you hear him?
No.
Shoot. He can hear you, but maybe you can't hear him.
I can't hear him, so we'll just have to
wait. Let me try speaker.
Yeah, let's try that.
Let's try again.
Okay. Hey, Kee-Ho.
Hey.
Hi, we've got it. Okay, we're DIYing it today. Thanks for playing, everyone, while we get through this technical glitch. So we do have a question right away. I just want to say thanks for a great presentation. What a fantastic overview of your work. And that demo was just amazing. And I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to open it up to the audience first. So Linda has a question. She's asking if it's possible to order anodized aluminum and color it later.
Why don't, Alex, I'm thinking if you paste that, or it's under comments, right? So he can read the. So Kee-Ho, if you go in the backstage under comments, you'll see the question that Linda asked.
Here, I can put it up on the screen too, actually.
I will chat comment, right?
Yeah, so Linda's asking, is it possible to order anodized aluminum and color it later?
Yes, you could. They do sell anodized aluminum.
Did that answer come through, Alex?
Yeah, I see it. I see it now. Linda, yeah. Yes, you could, but I haven't done.
Oh, we're trying here.
Dear, oh dear.
Able to do that, but I haven't done that for the longest time because we can do it here. So I have no need to order it. So I'm not sure, but bet that you could. Yeah, you could actually. Yeah. It's very difficult to hear.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Do you have other questions? Maybe people are avoiding asking them.
I know, folks. If you have questions, please post them in the chat so we can surface them up. I'm really fascinated by this.
Linda, sorry, Linda couldn't hear the answer, so I will answer it. So he said, yes, he believes you can buy it because they have it in at his university. He hasn't had to buy it in a while, so he can't really provide more information, but he knows that it is possible. He's on the main stage, so it's getting lagged.
Oh my god.
Okay, crying. So well, I'll just answer. Okay, I'm going to take you off speaker. So Kee-Ho, I'll just try to provide them the answer like the translators did earlier. So Jack's asking, is there a simple way to anodize?
No.
No. You can use a battery charger. Okay, say that first part. You still need sulfuric acid. And what was the part you said before that? Yeah. You can use a battery charger for your car, but you still need sulfuric acid.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Anything that can provide 12-volt DC would work. Patricia's question. So he's saying they also answering Stacy's question, they use a professional aluminum dye. But you can also use cotton dye. Sometimes it doesn't work because the dye molecules are too big to go into the pores. And Jack's asking if citric pickle would work. He's never tried it. Can't answer it because they've never tried it. Is it wait, what was Patricia's question? Oh, so he kind of answered that. Yes and no, it's hard. There's some fine ink you can use for graphic design. You can use boiling water instead of the saline salt that they use. Yeah. I think Pat was asking right more like Jack's question. Okay, we get that. He says it's a long and picky process. He usually uses the 6,000 and which one is the best aluminum alloys to use? The 1,000. That's pure aluminum. But Mandy Allen is posting some great links and information in the chat. So, you can also use 3,000 and 5,000 aluminum alloys. They will also work. They won't work as consistent. Two, 2,000 and 7,000 are very expensive and used more for aerospace. Mm-hmm. You have to guess. He's responding to Mandy's comment about the anodizing solution with the car batteries, and you just don't know what was the word he said? You don't know the concentration, so you have to guess. But it should work. Any other questions for Kee-Ho? Or we might wrap this up. We tested Kee-Ho's in a practice session, but he could not connect today. So at least everybody can see him, and we're somehow making this work.
Yes, thank you everyone for bearing with us through these technical challenges. And we have another question here from Curtis, who's coming up in the next session.
Yes. Yes. Yes, you could do that. He's saying yes, you could do Curtis's suggestion. Any physical or chemical way to print the surface will be fine. The better you clean up, the higher you polish, the better the color. That might not be the effect you want, though. For the dollar bill, he sandblasted first. When you sandblast, the color always comes what? The sandblasting will make a matte finish, but the color could be muddy. So to make it, I would be a terrible translator because I can't even remember everything he said a second later. So you say it had, oh gosh. You have to say you have to etch it. You have to etch it longer to get rid of all the junk that's brought in by sandblasting. Right, you can bring something else that was embedded into the aluminum, so you've got to really clean it out. Getting metal clean is very important and can sometimes be hard. I said that, he didn't. I'm just talking to Kee-Ho now.
I agree. The sandblasting is not the easy way out.
Yeah, so he's responding to Jack. He says the object connects, which is why they call it anodization, because it connects to the anode. Yeah. So anode, not cathode. What is a cathode? Wait, say that again. Oh, one is positive and one is negative. Got it. Got it. Last chance for questions, everyone. I think we're up on a break. No, we have a couple more minutes. Well, that might be it.
Might be it. Any last questions, folks? If you're holding back, now is your chance before we wrap up over here. Lots of thanks. Everyone loved the presentation.
You're welcome. We made it work. All right. All right. I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna sign Kee-Ho off of here. And
Okay, folks. Thank you for bearing with us through these comical and predictable technical challenges. Of course, you can test it as much as you like, but you never know how it's going to go on the day. Thank you so much, Kee-Ho, for all of your insight and your fantastic presentation. Getting a lot of love in the chat if you can still hear me, but maybe you can't. And then we're about to head into a break a little early, so you've bought yourself some time, folks. We will be back here on the main stage at 3:15 for Fresh Focus Innovation. So grab a drink, stretch your legs, and I'll see you at 3:15.